Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Native English Podcast, brought to you by Native English Stories. We are honestly so happy to have you hanging out with us today. I'm Sarah.
And I'm John. If you're joining us for the first time, this is the place where we keep English simple, practical, and, let's be honest, a little bit of fun too.
Before we dive in, please don't forget to like this episode and subscribe to the channel. It truly helps us keep making these lessons for you.
Today's topic is actually a fascinating one because on the surface, it looks incredibly easy.
Exactly. It seems simple, yet so many learners still make small mistakes with these specific words every single day.
That's so true. Today we're talking about this, that, these, and those.
4 tiny words, very small, but very powerful.
But before we get into the details, Sarah, how was your weekend?
Oh, it was actually really lovely. I visited a small bookshop near my house. You know the type, one of those cozy, independent ones.
This bookshop?
Exactly. This bookshop right near my street. I definitely spent way too much time in there.
I see what you did there. You used this completely naturally without even overthinking it.
Exactly. And if I had said that bookshop, it would feel a little different, like it was slightly more distant.
And that subtle difference is exactly what we're going to explore today.
These words show up absolutely everywhere in daily life, whether you're shopping, pointing at something, describing objects, or talking about memories.
So today we'll help you understand when to use this, when to use that, and how to handle these and those comfortably.
We're also going to touch on the word the, because many beginners mix it up with these other words. We'll take it slowly and clearly with real-life examples the whole way through.
Okay, let's start simply. This is used for one thing that is close to you, near you, something you can touch or almost touch.
For example, imagine I'm holding my phone right now. I would say, this phone is brand new. Why this? Because the phone is right here in my hand.
So this equals singular and near. Now imagine the phone is across the room on a shelf.
Then I would say, that phone is on the shelf, because it is far from me.
So that equals singular and far. Now let's go plural. Imagine I'm holding 2 books.
I would say, these books are really interesting. Why these? Because there are multiple and they are near me.
And if the books are across the room on a shelf?
Those books look old because they are multiple and far from me.
Let's make it clear and simple. This, one thing near. That, one thing far. These, many things near. Those, many things far.
It sounds straightforward, and it is, but learners still say things like this shoes or that people.
Yes, that's incorrect because this and that are singular. They cannot describe plural nouns.
Let's practice with a real situation. Imagine you're shopping for a jacket. You pick one up and hold it. What do you say?
How much is this jacket?
Good. Now the jacket is hanging on a rack far across the shop.
How much is that jacket over there?
Now you're holding 3 jackets at once.
How much are these jackets?
And the jackets are on a display far away.
How much are those jackets?
Perfect. You just used all 4 words naturally in one simple shopping situation.
Grammar without even noticing. That's the goal. Now let's make it more interesting. Sometimes we use this and that not for physical objects, but for situations and experiences.
Yes, for example, this is amazing. When do we say that?
When something is happening right now, something close in time and experience.
And what about that was amazing?
That's for something in the past, something that already happened and is finished.
So this points to the present moment. That points to something past or done.
Now let's quickly mention pronunciation. Many learners say dis and that, but the correct sounds are this and that. You put your tongue very gently between your teeth to make the th sound. Very gently. Don't bite it.
Practice it slowly. This, that, these, those. Now let's talk about the word the, because many beginners ask, what's the difference between this and the?
Great question. The does not show distance and doesn't tell us near or far. It tells us that both people in the conversation already know which specific thing is being discussed.
For example, please close the door. We don't say this door or that door. We just say the door because both people understand which door, the one right there in the room.
So the is about shared knowledge. This and that are about distance and location.
Now let's move into the more interesting part because in real life, these words are not always about physical distance.
Sometimes it's about emotional distance or mental connection, and that's where things get really fascinating.
So imagine you love your job. You might say, I love this job.
This feels close, personal, connected.
But if you're frustrated and want to complain, you might say, I hate that job, even if you're still working there.
The job hasn't moved physically, but emotionally you're pushing it away with that.
So that can create emotional distance even when something is physically right beside you. That's a powerful idea.
Let's try another example. Imagine someone says something unexpected. You reply, "What is this?"
That sounds curious, maybe a little confused, maybe surprised.
But if you say, "What was that?" it feels different, maybe shock, maybe slight alarm.
Same small words, completely different feeling.
Now, let's talk about introducing people. When you introduce someone standing right next to you, you say, "This is my friend Oliver."
Not that is my friend Oliver, because Oliver is near you. He's right there.
But what if you're on a phone or video call and Oliver is in the room with you?
You still say, this is Oliver, because he is near you, even though the listener is far away.
Exactly. This is always about where the person or thing is relative to you, not relative to the listener.
Now, a very common mistake. Learners sometimes say, this is my sister, this is tall. The second sentence is wrong. Correct version, this is my sister, she is tall. We use this to introduce, then we switch to she, he, or it to continue describing.
This introduces, a pronoun continues. Very important rule.
Now let's talk about these and those in more conversational situations. Imagine you're eating some biscuits right now. You taste one and say, these biscuits are incredible.
You're holding them, they're near you, so these.
But later that evening, you remember biscuits from a bakery you visited last month. You say, those biscuits were absolutely amazing.
They're not here now, they're in the past, so those.
So those can also refer to past things that are no longer present, not just physically distant things.
Now, let's look at this versus it, because many learners mix these up.
If I pick up a water bottle and say, is this yours? That's correct. I'm introducing the object.
After someone says yes, I then say it was on the table, not this was on the table.
We use this to point to or introduce something. Then we use it to continue talking about it.
Let's do a quick natural conversation.
Hey, can you pass me that notebook?
Which one?
That blue one near the window.
Oh, this one?
No, not that one. The one next to it.
Ah, this narrow one?
Yes, that's the one.
Haha. You see, even in a simple exchange like that, near and far switched constantly depending on where each person was standing. Context is everything.
Now let's talk about using this when you're about to say something important. Listen to this, or let me show you this. These phrases signal that something interesting is coming.
And that is often after you finish explaining something. For example, and that is exactly why consistency matters in language learning.
This introduces what is coming. That concludes what was just said. Beautiful structure.
Now let's talk about these words with time. This morning, this week, this year. The word this refers to current time periods.
And that with time usually refers to the past. That day, that summer, that year.
Imagine you're telling a story. You say, so this colleague of mine walks up to me and says,
Even if the story happened last week, using this makes it feel immediate and alive.
It pulls the listener right into the story. It makes the past feel present.
Let's do some quick corrections. I'll say a wrong sentence and you fix it.
Ready.
These is my sunglasses.
Wrong. Correct version, these are my sunglasses.
That are my cousins.
Wrong. Correct version, those are my cousins.
This mangoes are sweet.
Wrong. Correct version, these mangoes are sweet. Because mangoes is plural and they are near.
And notice the pattern. With this and that, we use is. With these and those, we use are. Very important.
Now, let's go deeper into emotions because this is where these 4 words really show personality.
Imagine you receive a long, complicated message. You read it and say, "What is this?"
That can sound annoyed, overwhelmed, confused.
But if you say, "I love this," that feels warm and positive and connected.
Same word, completely different emotion depending on what comes after it.
And when we disagree with an idea someone just shared, we often say, "That doesn't make sense," or "That's not right." We push the idea away with that. Emotional distance.
But when we feel connected to something, we say, "This is exactly what I mean," or "This makes so much sense." Emotional closeness through this.
Let's try an example from an argument. One person says, "You always do this."
That feels very personal and close. The behavior is right here and it's happening repeatedly.
Now someone talking about a difficult period in their past might say, "Those were really hard times."
Using those creates gentle distance from the pain. They're remembering it but separating themselves from it slightly.
But if those times were joyful, they might say, "Those were the most beautiful years of my life." Still distance, but warm and nostalgic.
Now, a very common spoken mistake. People say those kind of people. That's slightly off. The correct versions are that kind of person or those kinds of people. We need to match singular and plural carefully.
And another one, "This people are very kind." Wrong. Correct, "These people are very kind." This cannot be used before a plural noun.
Let's build fluency with a longer natural conversation.
Look at this photo.
Oh, wow. Who are these people?
These are my cousins from the countryside.
And who is that man standing near the old building?
That is my grandfather when he was young.
Those hills in the background look stunning.
Yes, those were taken during a hiking trip years ago.
This whole photo has such a beautiful atmosphere.
I know. I love this village. My family has been going there for generations.
Notice how naturally the 4 words appeared there. Near things got this and these, far or past things got that and those, and it never felt like grammar. It just felt like 2 people looking at a photo together.
That is always the goal. Before we finish, here's a simple 2-question test you can use while speaking.
Only 2 questions. Ready.
Question 1, is it near or far? Question 2, is it one thing or many things?
That's all you need. Near and singular equals this. Near and plural equals these. Far and singular equals that. Far and plural equals those.
And don't forget the emotional layer too. Feeling connected to something feels like this. Feeling distant feels like that. And those old memories, those are those.
Now, let's do one final mini story using all 4 words naturally. You ready, Sarah?
Absolutely. I walk into a small market on a Saturday morning. This place is full of color and noise. These vegetables right here at the front look incredibly fresh. That stall all the way across the market has beautiful flowers, and those mountains in the distance are covered in morning mist.
That honestly sounded like the opening of a movie, and every word was used perfectly.
See how powerful these tiny words are? They paint a picture. They create distance or closeness and place things in time and space.
And the best part is, you don't need to overthink the grammar every time. The more you listen and practice, the more natural it starts to feel.
Quick summary before we go. This, one thing near you. That, one thing far away. These, many things close by. Those, many things in the distance or the past.
Simple, memorable, and genuinely useful for every English conversation you'll ever have.
Now it's your turn. Head to the pinned comment below for today's practice challenge. Write one sentence using this and one using those, something real from your own life.
We love reading your sentences. Don't be afraid of these small words, because mastering them is what builds real confidence.
If today's episode helped you, please like it, subscribe to the Native English podcast brought to you by Native English Stories, and share it with a friend who is also working on their English.
Because learning together is always easier and a lot more fun.
Thank you so much for listening. Keep practicing and keep noticing these small words in everything you read and hear.
We'll see you in the next episode. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.